I'm looking at holes in my baby's brain.
Nature's deadliest organisms.
I was frightened.
They can hijack our bodies,
We were all pretty much freaking out.
disable our immune systems,
This parasite colonizes the brain.
and eat us from within.
He was gasping for air.
For those infected, Kayla and Donnie Thompson live in the suburban town of White City in Saskatchewan, Canada. They have 3 young children.
Our oldest is Macy. She is 6 years old. Our middle child is Caden. He is 4. And then there's Kyler. He is 13 months, and he is into everything.
Kyler is a very curious kid. He gets into everything and anything.
Donnie works at a car dealership while Kayla stays home with the kids.
I'm more of the strict mom role, and he's still the fun, dad comes home and, he plays and jokes around, and then I'm on the other side. So we kind of balance each other out that way.
We're both family-oriented and just enjoyed each other's company.
It's a Saturday afternoon in autumn. Kayla is out and Donnie is home with the children.
I was at home watching the kids. I had just come into the kitchen for a minute, not even a minute, and Kyler had come out of the bedroom, and it looked like he was chewing on something or had something in his mouth. But when I went to check, there was nothing there. And so Kyler and the kids had went back to playing. I didn't think that much of it.
A few hours later, Donnie gets Kyler ready for his afternoon nap.
I put him on my shoulder. I was rocking him to sleep, and he was drooling a fair amount. I just assumed that it was him teething. He fell asleep. I put Kyler in the crib.
But then, the toddler does something unexpected.
He curled up into like the fetal position. It's not the normal way that he would sleep. I felt a little concerned with him laying that way. It just looked odd that he was in the fetal position.
Donnie leaves Kyler sleeping in his crib and goes back downstairs. But then his paternal instincts kick in.
After about I don't even know if it was a half an hour, I went in and checked on him because something just didn't feel right. And then I found Kyler. He was breathing abnormally, and he had puked a little bit. I was worried that something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I took him to the bathroom right away.
But as Donnie prepares to clean him up, something else happens.
When I set him on the counter, he was gasping for air. It was like So then I called Kayla in a panic.
Kayla takes the call from her husband.
He said that Kyler just wasn't feeling himself, and I could hear him in the background. You could hear the breaths getting louder and louder and like him struggling. And that's what got me worried. And I said, well, I'll come home. Just don't do anything. And I said, I'll come home right now.
When she arrives, she finds Donnie with Kyler by the front door.
She was very surprised, and she grabbed him right away.
He's starting to cry and getting upset and wondering what was going on, and you could see the fear in his eyes as well. Kyler was getting worse and worse by the minute, and you could hear the heaving, like the deep breaths, like something was closing up. That's when panic kicked in, and we ran. We ran to the vehicle and jumped in and took off to the hospital.
It's a 15-mile trip.
I was in the front passenger side and just held Kyler in my arms. Kyler just looked tired, and he had his head down. He was struggling for each breath, and it was getting louder and louder, like a gulping for air.
On the way in, it was getting worse and worse. We're about 25 minutes from the hospital, and I'm sure we made it in 12.
When they arrive, Kyler's condition is critical.
I basically ran in. I said, "Baby, not breathing." We had nurses and doctors running at us. Not breathing. And we laid Kyler down on the table.
Doctors assess Kyler and come to an immediate conclusion.
They did the usual tests like the temperature and the blood pressure, and it looked for any signs of what was wrong. They figured he might be having an allergic reaction, so they gave him some medicine to open his airway because they figured that it was closing up, and that was why he was short of breath. And when they said allergic reaction, in a way, I was like, well, okay, we can fix this. This is, temporary.
But the allergy medication has no effect.
It was just getting worse instead of better.
He was gasping for air. So one of the things they had tried was putting an oxygen mask on him. That didn't change his breathing or didn't help at all.
The beeping on the monitor started to go dangerously low, which meant that his oxygen levels was depleting. He was still struggling. And I was kind of getting frustrated, like, what else can we do? What are we not doing? Why is he still like this?
To keep Kyler breathing, doctors insert an oxygen tube down his airway.
It was very shocking. It's not something that you see very often. We were just hoping that they could control his breathing.
One doctor has suggested maybe that he was getting croup and that was closing up his lungs.
Croup is an infection that causes the vocal cords to swell, making it difficult to breathe. It is most common in small children.
I was very worried. I've heard kids dying from croup.
To confirm this hypothesis, doctors send Kyler for an X-ray of his chest. Kayla and Donnie wait nervously.
We were basically pacing back and forth, wondering what's going on, checking the time. Why is it taking so long? Donnie was really upset.
I was very worried, scared, and yeah.
Doctors finally return to the waiting couple. What the scan shows changes everything.
They thought they saw a coin lodged in his throat. They told us it would be a simple procedure. They would put him under and basically just take the coin out.
Well, his breathing was under control, and we finally found out what the problem was. It was a lot of relief.
Doctors take Kyler in for what they believe will be a short procedure. For an hour and a half, doctors operate, leaving Kayla and Donnie to grow anxious.
The surgeon came out and he looked at us and said, "This isn't good."
He was holding what we thought was a coin, and he showed us, and he said, "This is a battery."
This went from bad to, really bad.
Who knows what kind of damage a battery can do? And at that point, you're thinking, again, the worst.
For 8 hours, a quarter-sized button battery has been lodged in Kyler's throat. Surrounded by bodily fluids, the battery began conducting electricity and generating poisonous chemicals. The chemicals burned through the flesh, causing the swelling in Kyler's throat that nearly suffocated him.
The doctor said that he got the battery out, but there was still another problem.
The damage was serious. Just something that you'd never think would happen to your own kid.
Kyler wasn't able to breathe on his own.
Doctors have just removed a button battery from 1-year-old Kyler Thompson's throat. During the 8 hours it was lodged there, chemicals generated by the battery caused life-threatening damage. Kyler is unable to breathe on his own, so doctors must perform a tracheotomy. When Kayla and Donnie Thompson finally see their son again, they are in for a shock.
There was wires everywhere. There was monitors and machines, and everything was beeping. We were taken back because we had never seen anyone with a trach. And to see, him breathing out of his neck, it was quite scary.
He's not going to be able to talk. Is he not going to be able to breathe properly? All those things go through your head.
I went into shock mode, and where do we go from here? And I just didn't think that this was happening to us. This could be Kyler. Like, this could be the way he is forever.
It's common for young children, especially between the ages of 1 and 3, to swallow foreign objects such as coins, marbles, and buttons. While adults use their hands to identify an object, a baby's most developed sensory nerves are in its mouth. So a baby's instinct is to put an object in its mouth, not necessarily to eat it, but to understand it.
I've never heard of anyone swallowing a battery. How did this happen?
When I came home from the hospital, I looked at the remote and noticed that the back was pulled off and the battery was missing out of it. I was a little bit mad at myself at the time because I was the only one home.
For weeks, Kyler remains in ICU with a tracheotomy tube in his neck. Then, Kayla and Donnie see a significant change.
We had bought him a bunch of little cars, so he was sitting on the bed, and he went and he was moving the cars back and forth, and he went vroom, vroom. And I think it was that moment when he realized that if he covered his trach with his chin, sound came out. It was just like the best thing ever, because he was, he's making sounds, and we were just thinking he wasn't going to be able to do it. And from there on, he has never stopped talking.
Finally, something's going better, right?
After 2 months in the hospital, doctors finally discharged the boy. Today, Kyler is a thriving 3-year-old boy, but the button battery has left its mark, and it's unclear if he will ever heal completely.
He can't live without the trach, so as long as he needs it, I guess we're gonna have to deal with it.
If he's outside for too long, if he gets too dry, he'll cough up blood. Fluid can't get into his lungs. But he does everything that a normal little boy should do. He screams, hollers, he talks, he sings, he laughs. The only difference is he has a tiny little hole in his throat. We're grateful that we have him here, and we're just happy that he's here with us and alive.
He's one of the strongest kids I've ever known. He's been through so many surgeries and still always has a smile on his face.
In North America, every year, there are more than 3,500 cases of button batteries being swallowed. The majority of cases are in children under 6 years old. Each year, approximately 13 cases result in death. To prevent children swallowing them, parents and caregivers should make sure that battery compartments are properly secured at all times.
I was grossed out. I couldn't believe that there was something in my brain.
John and Chris Hoover are a married couple living in Fairfax, Virginia. John works in sales, and Chris works at their church, which is the center of this family's life.
Our faith is what unites us as a family. Our church is our home away from home.
I think has kept us together and as tight as we are.
They have 3 daughters, Laura, Carrie, and their youngest, 18-year-old Jamie, who has just gone off to college.
She is very smart. She's also incredibly driven.
I decided to flip a coin to decide which school to go to, and I ended up at Virginia Tech.
Starting a new life is exciting for Jamie, but Chris and John have mixed feelings.
Jamie is our baby. Taking her to school was hard. It was obviously the beginning of the emptiness for us.
It's the beginning of December, and Jamie is cramming for finals.
It was the first finals week I'd had in college. I kind of didn't know what to expect. I was at the library, and the fluorescent lights started to really get to me. My eyes just started to hurt. I was worried by the time I would sit down to take my finals, I wouldn't be able to sit there long enough and focus on what I had learned. So I started wearing my glasses.
The next day, she tries to study again.
So I was studying in our campus library, and I started getting a really bad migraine. I would feel it right behind my eyes, a constant throbbing. But I wasn't too concerned. I put my studying away for the day. I just figured I'd spent too much time in one place, reading textbooks.
Despite the headaches, Jamie does well on her exams. A few weeks later, she's back home on her winter break.
I was driving, and I got a very sour and repulsive taste in my mouth. Seemed like something I may have eaten before that had gone sour and was just a very sharp and pretty disgusting taste in my mouth, and kind of made me feel sick. I wanted to throw up in order to get the taste out of my mouth because that's how bad it was. It honestly just caught me off guard. It was definitely odd.
But that's not her only problem.
I felt the corners of my vision start to turn black. And then eventually I couldn't see anything at all.
18-year-old Jamie Hoover is running errands when suddenly everything goes dark.
I couldn't see anything at all.
She manages to pull over safely.
On the side of the road, my sight wasn't gone for 45 seconds, and then it came back. I was in a state of shock.
Jamie drives home carefully and keeps the weird episode to herself. Later that night, something startles her awake.
I woke up in the middle of the night and I smelled something burning. So maybe either a hair straightener that had been left on or a candle. I was really confused that what could possibly be burning. But I couldn't find anything producing the smell.
Then she is hit by a wave of nausea.
I definitely thought I was gonna throw up.
Jamie goes to the bathroom. But there, things get even stranger.
So I was sitting in front of the toilet. But nothing happened. My body didn't feel like it needed to throw up. It was more like, I think I need to throw up. I was definitely anxious.
The next evening, Jamie tells her family about her symptoms.
Everyone else at the table looks at each other and is thinking, that was all in your head. We thought it was possibly associated with the migraine. I don't immediately jump to scary conclusions. I tend to think normal things happen to normal people so that everything has an easy resolution.
It was an odd story. No one really knew how to take it.
It was alarming. It would happen, and then literally moments later, it was gone. It was hard to understand because it was so very foreign. We decided that she needed to go to the doctor.
My dad thought this isn't normal. It's not something to just overlook.
The next day, John takes Jamie to the doctor.
I told her that I'd been having a migraine since finals week. Then I also mentioned to her about these episodes I'd been having with the vision lost and the taste and the smell.
Jamie said, "It's coming again." The doctor and we obviously didn't see anything, sense anything, smell anything, but Jamie was saying, "I can smell it. I think I'm gonna get sick." Literally seconds later, she was fine. What could this be? How bad it could be? As a parent, the helplessness goes up another notch. What exactly are we facing?
She didn't mention anything to us. She just called the hospital.
The pediatrician sends them straight to the emergency room.
John calls me and says we're going straight to the emergency room. And obviously, the doctor thinks it's more than just a migraine. We've definitely crossed over into an unknown.
At the hospital, doctors run an MRI on Jamie's brain, and the results are disturbing.
Inside of the brain are two large circles. I'm looking at holes in my baby's brain, and I don't think there's anything I could say now or anything that would help me process what I was seeing.
Neurologist Dr. Eric Sklar steps in to interpret the scans. And he observes that the circles aren't holes. There's something more insidious.
The two areas could represent a mass or some sort of inflammation. We couldn't exclude the possibility of a tumor.
I couldn't believe that there could actually be something in my brain.
On the left side, it was extending into the temporal lobe area.
The temporal lobe processes sensory input and memory.
It's very likely to cause seizures when there's inflammation in that area.
And Dr. Sklar believes Jamie's hallucinations are partial seizures.
Not knowing if this is a permanent brain condition or something that can be treated is unsettling, to say the least, and very, very concerning.
Anytime someone has a mass or swelling in their brain, it's serious. We just wanted to try and find out what it was so it could be treated the right way.
Is surgery gonna have to be an option at all? But they were too deep in my brain for that to be considered. And that's when I think I began to realize what this meant and how it could be pretty scary.
Dr. Sklar takes a detailed history of her previous symptoms and reaches a stunning diagnosis.
Based on the MRI findings, her other test results, the history of partial seizures, Jamie had pork tapeworm.
When you hear that there is a tapeworm in your daughter's brain, what will that mean?
I'd never heard of it before.
We were all pretty much freaking out.
The pork tapeworm is a parasite also known as Taenia solium. Inside Jamie's body, the pork tapeworm eggs hatch into larvae in her stomach. From there, they burrow through her intestinal wall and travel in the blood to her brain, where they form into hardened cysts. As the cysts expand, they put pressure on the brain, leading to her migraines, hallucinations, and seizures.
I was grossed out to think that there was something living in her brain.
Absolutely shocking.
Dr. Sklar puts Jamie on a powerful antiparasitic medication, but there's a problem.
Pork tapeworms have a brilliant defense mechanism that makes them very tricky to kill. The encysted larvae secrete a chemical that prevents the body's immune cells from penetrating the cyst. But when the cysts are treated with medication, they stop secreting that chemical, prompting the body's immune system to launch a massive attack on the cysts. This causes the brain to swell, resulting in a deadly condition known as encephalitis.
We were concerned. We were worried that if the pork tapeworm wasn't treated adequately, that she could have continued lesions in her brain with swelling and have continued seizures.
No one knew. No one knew what the process exactly would hold.
I didn't know what to expect out of the meds. I was worried because I had no idea what would happen to me.
For 3 months, 18-year-old Jamie Hoover has suffered agonizing migraines and hallucinations from pork tapeworms in her brain. For 2 months, Jamie remains on medication to treat the condition. Then, one day at a religious function with her family, she experiences something incredible.
So it was about now 2 months with a migraine, and I was with a group of friends at the campus ministry. And that night, the headache stopped.
It's hard to describe it as anything but a God moment. She was in pain, and it stopped. So it's a pretty emotional moment.
We were so happy and honestly hopeful in a new kind of way.
It was definitely a drastic difference. I'd almost forgotten what it felt like to not have a migraine.
We had a follow-up MRI done around that time, which showed that the 2 lesions had been reduced in size by about 50%, which indicated the medication was working.
Pork tapeworm has 2 primary hosts, humans and pigs. The worms lay eggs that are passed out in human feces. If a pig then eats the contaminated feces, the eggs grow into cysts in its muscle tissue, and the life cycle repeats. However, when the tapeworm eggs and feces are ingested by another person, the parasites hatch into larvae in the person's intestines. That allows the parasites to get into the bloodstream, and from there, they can infect the brain.
Jamie thinks she knows when she may have been exposed.
I'd been to Dominica in the past 2 years. We bought a lot of fruit off of street vendors, and it was possible that the fruit was contaminated and I could have ingested it that way.
Today, Jamie is back at school and studying hard. And although medication has mostly eradicated the cysts, their presence has made a significant impact.
My memory isn't quite where it was. I'm not understanding and processing things like I used to. But I have a relatively healthy brain now. I was definitely very thankful how close my family was and supportive they were, and making sure I was okay.
Pork tapeworm infections are most common in Asia, Africa, and South America. In the US, an estimated 1,000 people are infected with pork tapeworm each year. Travelers to endemic regions should not eat undercooked pork and should ensure that the food they do eat is prepared in sanitary conditions.
I didn't know how dangerous it was.
We was hoping for a miracle.
Steve and Linda Brown live on a tree farm in the Appalachian Mountains near North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
We have over 1,000 pine trees on 40 acres of land.
It's a small community. That's why I like it.
They have 2 daughters, 7-year-old Melissa and 6-year-old Faith.
Melissa, she's a tomboy. She likes going outside, catching frogs. And Faith is a girly girl. She likes to dress up, and she likes to moon her daddy. She thinks that's hilarious.
And the tree farm provides the perfect place to raise their 2 daughters.
We like to go walking through the trees.
It's mid-June. Linda and her daughter Faith are spending the afternoon at home.
I was cleaning. Faith was laying on the love seat, and she told me she had a headache and didn't feel good. Faith never laid down. She played until it was bedtime. I wasn't really concerned. I just thought it was something that she would be over in a few days.
Faith rests the rest of the day. But the following day, Linda discovers Faith has a slight temperature. But that's not all.
I saw some spots on her arm, round red spots. But I wasn't extremely worried.
I was always concerned if one of my youngins didn't feel good.
Later that day, she takes Faith to the doctor's office.
The doctor thought she might have the chicken pox.
Chickenpox is a viral infection that often affects children. It causes rashes, fatigue, and fever, and is also highly contagious.
He just said to give her fever reducer, and she should be better in a few days.
When Linda gets Faith home, she keeps her away from Melissa.
The doctor said that she could be contagious. So she started laying around in mine and Steve's bedroom, and Melissa would stay in the living room, so she left her alone. Melissa felt bad.
The following day, Linda discovers something troubling.
When I went to check on Faith, her face was very, very red. It had a raised rash all over it. It was not a normal rash.
Yeah, that's not normal.
I took her temperature and it was up to 102. At that point, I knew she didn't have chickenpox.
Linda calls the doctor's office. The doctor takes a precautionary approach and prescribes antibiotics for Faith over the phone.
I thought, we're finally going to get something to help her and she's going to get better. I was relieved.
And by the next morning, Faith is already showing signs of recovery.
You could tell by looking at her that she did feel better. Her skin looked better, and she was smiling. I thought the antibiotic is kicking in, and it's going to do the trick.
It made me feel like she was getting on the road to getting better.
That night, Linda and Steve go to bed feeling at ease for the first time in 4 days. But their relief is short-lived.
She was feeling bad again. And I took her temperature, and it was 104.
104, I don't think that's right. That's too hot.
Temperatures this high can result in dehydration, hallucinations, and convulsions.
I was frightened. Her fever just kept going up instead of going away.
I said, well, maybe tomorrow she'll feel better. I was just hoping.
But I was beginning to question what was wrong with her.
With no signs of improvement, Linda rushes Faith back to her pediatrician.
He told me that it was just the virus that would have to run its course. I was tired of hearing it's a virus, but I allowed him to overrule me, which is what the good little Southern girl does.
Still, the doctor performs additional blood work and sends the family home. But a few hours later, Linda receives a phone call.
For a doctor to call you from his home, that's kind of alarming.
Faith's blood test results are in. Her platelet count is dangerously low.
I didn't know what to think.
Platelets are the cells that allow the blood to clot. A platelet count below 150,000 is considered low.
He said that her platelets were 17,000. He just didn't know why. It scared me.
Six-year-old Faith Brown has a dangerously low platelet count. Linda and Steve rushed their daughter to the ER.
The doctor pressed on her stomach and she flinched. The doctor said her liver was enlarged.
The liver is a vital organ that removes toxins from the blood. When the liver swells, it can be the sign of a blood infection. In some cases, an enlarged liver can be life-threatening.
I was frightened.
With Faith's illness still a mystery, doctors draw more blood. And as a precaution, they place Faith on a variety of antibiotics. As Faith's condition continues to deteriorate, Linda tries to comfort her.
The nurse had told me if I wanted to, I could get in the bed with Faith. But Faith couldn't take it. She couldn't stand for me to lay beside her. It hurt her. There was nothing I could do to comfort her. I was scared.
Within hours, doctors have the test results.
They told me that it was Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I was worried.
Rocky Mountain spotted fever is a life-threatening disease caused by the microorganism Rickettsia rickettsii. Inside Faith's body, the microorganisms infect the lining of her blood vessels, where they feed and reproduce. Eventually, the growing Rickettsia colonies cause the vessels to rupture, leading to her fever, low blood count, and body-wide rashes.
I didn't know how dangerous it was.
That scared me that much more.
What makes the Rickettsia rickettsii bacteria so dangerous is its ability to tear open the blood vessels and cause significant internal hemorrhaging. This can lead to numerous medical complications, including kidney failure and brain damage. If the disease remains untreated, the bacteria's victims can bleed to death.
Doctors relate Rocky Mountain spotted fever is more easily treated if caught within the first 5 days of symptoms. But in Faith's case, the infection has gone untreated for 10 days. With her blood platelet count a mere 11%, she is barely clinging to life.
I didn't realize that you only have 2 or 3 days to treat Rocky Mountain spotted fever before it's too late.
We was hoping for a miracle.
I prayed to God not to let my little girl die, my baby girl.
To treat the Rickettsia rickettsii infection, doctors place Faith on a powerful drug named doxycycline.
She was laying in the bed, had her little doggy. Her legs and her arms, her whole body was stiffening it up.
Her eyes were rolled back in her head. I think the fight was slowly going out of her.
Six-year-old Faith Brown is battling the deadly disease Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Having suffered a seizure because of dramatic internal bleeding, doctors placed the girl on life support.
We were shocked because she had all the wires and the tubes coming out of her.
I stayed her and I held her hand all the night.
But how did she contract this horrific infection?
The Rickettsia rickettsii bacteria is most commonly transmitted to humans through exposure to an infected tick. The tick normally needs to be attached for a 4 to 6 hour period in order to transmit the disease to humans. But rickettsia can also be transmitted if an infected tick's bodily fluids simply come into contact with those of a human.
And the family recalls a moment when they saw a tick on Faith 11 days before she died.
And I would walk down to the creek, and there was one on Faith's leg. I just reached down and picked it off and killed it. I've always heard you didn't have to worry about one crawling on you, just if one bit you.
Steve and Linda believe that the tick merely crawled across a scratch on Faith's leg, and that is how she contracted the infection. 6 years later, they're still trying to come to terms with their loss.
People say the pain goes away. The pain don't go away. You learn to deal with it a little bit.
And today, Faith continues to be a beacon of hope.
We started the Faith Can Move Mountains Endowment Fund to draw awareness to Rocky Mountain spotted fever.
Rocky Mountain spotted fever can be found across much of the continental United States, although it's especially prevalent in the American South. To avoid Rocky Mountain spotted fever and other tick-borne illnesses, the CDC recommends using insect repellent containing DEET, and always check for ticks. And even if they're not latched, it's recommended to keep the specimen so that if symptoms do occur, it can be used to help with diagnosis.
Have you ever gone to a friend or family member's house with the best intentions, only to leave feeling a little awkward and uncertain if you may have overstepped a boundary? Maybe you've even found yourself wondering if your well-meaning visits are causing more harm than good. If you're in your 60s or older, it's especially important to be mindful of how, when, and why you visit others as we navigate our golden years. While a friendly visit may seem harmless on the surface, sometimes what we think is a simple gesture of goodwill can unintentionally cause discomfort or strain relationships. In this video, we're going to explore 4 types of people you should consider avoiding visiting after 60, because what you believe to be an innocent drop-in could inadvertently create tension, miscommunication, or even resentment. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to maintain healthier, more respectful connections with your loved ones, ensuring that your relationships remain strong and mutually fulfilling. We'll talk about the critical importance of respecting personal space, how making too many visits can backfire, and ways to protect both your boundaries and the ones of the people you care about. Stick with me to learn how to avoid the common pitfalls that can harm your friendships and family ties, while discovering the best strategies to show you care without crossing any lines. If you're not already subscribed, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our future videos. Your support means so much to me, and if you've enjoyed this video, I'd be so grateful if you could help me continue sharing these valuable lessons by liking and sharing them with others. And if you like the topic of today's video, please type 1 in the comments. If you don't, feel free to type 0 so I can learn what I can do to improve and make these videos even better for you. Now, let's dive in. 1. Avoid visiting old friends' houses. As we navigate through the years and deepen the bonds that define our relationships, one truth becomes ever clearer: the importance of respecting each other's personal space and time. Over time, we learn that even the closest of friendships require a delicate balance between connection and boundaries. We may have spent years together, laughing through shared experiences, or comforting each other during difficult moments, but that does not erase the reality that every person needs space. One of the simplest yet most important ways we can show respect for a friend's space is by refraining from showing up unannounced at their home. It might seem harmless, perhaps even thoughtful, to drop by without giving your friend a heads up. After all, you've shared so much over the years, and surely, your friendship is strong enough to withstand a surprise visit, right? But the truth is, No matter how long we've been friends, we all have a right to privacy and personal time. While we may feel that an impromptu visit is a sign of closeness, it can be an intrusion, an unexpected interruption in someone's life. A simple phone call or text beforehand might seem like a small gesture, but it makes a world of difference. It is an acknowledgement that their time and space are just as valuable as your desire to reconnect. Think about it for a moment. What does it feel like when someone shows up uninvited at your door? Even when you love them and have known them for years, it can feel overwhelming. It's not about the person or the intention, but about the disruption of your flow. Maybe you're in the middle of something important, working on a project, dealing with personal stress, or just savoring a quiet moment of solitude. A surprise visit can throw off your emotional state, leaving you feeling either obligated to entertain or guilty for not being in the mood for socializing. It's a tough position to be in because we don't want to let our friends down, but we also need to protect our mental and emotional space. That's why a phone call or text beforehand can be such a simple yet profound solution. It gives both parties the freedom to prepare for the interaction, ensuring that both are in the right frame of mind. It also removes the pressure that comes with feeling like you're intruding into someone's life. A phone call is an invitation, not a demand, and it's a gesture of respect. It says, "I want to see you, but I also want to make sure it's a good time for you." In a world where everyone is constantly on the go, this small act of consideration can be the key to maintaining a healthy and thriving relationship. PVE come to believe that respecting boundaries like this isn't just about being polite, it's about showing empathy and maturity in our friendships. Life is messy, and people grow, change, and evolve. As we get older, we become more aware of our own needs, and one of those needs is the need for peace, quiet, and personal space. This isn't about drifting apart from friends, but rather about creating a space where each person feels comfortable and valued. We live in a time where life can feel overwhelming, and everyone has their stresses and responsibilities. Understanding that your friends may not always have the emotional energy to entertain or host a visit is a sign of deep respect for their well-being. Consider the story of Jennifer and Kate, two women who have shared a deep and lasting friendship for over 30 years. They have been there for each other through thick and thin, celebrating milestones, comforting each other through loss, and supporting one another through the complexities of life. But as time went on, both Jennifer and Kate found themselves busier than ever. Jennifer, in particular, felt like stopping by unannounced was an easy way to reconnect, without realizing that this wasn't the best way to approach their relationship anymore. One afternoon, Jennifer dropped by Kate's house without calling ahead, thinking it would be a casual and spontaneous visit. However, when she arrived, Kate was in the middle of an important project, and her mind was nowhere near ready for socializing. While Kate was always kind enough to welcome Jennifer with open arms, she felt flustered and rushed, unable to give her full attention to the visit. Jennifer, on the other hand, felt a sense of awkwardness, as if she had disrupted Kate's life. The visit, though entirely well-meaning, left both women feeling a bit off balance. After that experience, Jennifer reflected on the situation and realized how much better it would have been if she had reached out beforehand. From that point forward, Jennifer made a commitment to respect Kate's time by texting or calling before coming over. It wasn't about being distant. It was about making sure they were both in the right place mentally and emotionally for a good visit. Now, they meet at their favorite cafe, a neutral space where neither of them feels the weight of life's daily tasks. They can chat, share memories, and enjoy each other's company without worrying about disrupting one another's routines. Their friendship has only grown stronger because of this simple, yet powerful, shift in how they approach their time together. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This approach to respecting boundaries is not a reflection of a weakening friendship, but a sign of its growth and maturity. It's about acknowledging that both you and your friend have separate lives to live, and that's okay. It's healthy. When we give each other space to be ourselves, we give our friendships room to flourish. It's a practice of kindness, understanding, and trust. You're showing your friend that you value them enough to honor their time and space, just as you hope they will respect yours. As we grow older, the need for privacy and personal time often becomes more pronounced. It's not about being antisocial. Rather, it's about preserving the energy we have and using it wisely. We are more attuned to the importance of solitude and reflection. We have learned, through experience, that peace is invaluable. It's not about avoiding people or becoming reclusive. It's about cherishing the moments when we can be alone, to recharge and reflect. And when we do spend time with others, it must be meaningful and intentional. So, take a moment to reflect on your friendships and the way you approach them. Respecting boundaries is an act of love. It's a way to show that you care deeply about the other person's comfort, mental space, and emotional well-being. The next time you think about dropping by unannounced, remember that a simple call or text can make all the difference. It allows you both to prepare for a meaningful connection without the pressure of disrupting each other's lives. After all, the best moments shared with friends are the ones that happen when both people are truly ready, when their hearts and minds are open to the conversation. It's about quality, not quantity, about making sure the time spent together is genuine and enjoyable for both of you. 2. Don't visit relatives' houses. When we think about visiting family, it's almost instinctual to believe that spending time with them will naturally strengthen our relationships. Family is often at the top of the list when we think about the people who should be part of our lives, especially as we grow older. The idea that the more we see our relatives, the closer we'll grow, seems so simple and appealing, doesn't it? The thought of regular visits evokes images of warmth, connection, and the comfort of being surrounded by people who know you inside out. After all, these are the people who've been with you through the ups and downs of life, so surely, more time together equals a stronger bond. Or does it? At first glance, this idea seems to make perfect sense. Who wouldn't want to spend more time with family, building memories, and deepening the connections that already exist? But as time goes on, we start to realize that this very thing, spending too much time with family, can sometimes have the opposite effect. Over time, what was once a comforting thought can slowly become a burden. As we age and our lives change, so do the dynamics of our relationships. And sometimes, too much of a good thing can lead to emotional exhaustion and unintended consequences. The more we push for constant proximity, the more we risk suffocating those we love, without even realizing it. I've come to learn that while family is important, there's something just as important: personal space. It's vital to respect not only our boundaries, but also those of the people we care about. Space is not about distancing ourselves from the ones we love. Rather, it's about giving them room to breathe, to live their lives independently, and to ensure that time spent together remains something to be cherished, not something that feels like an obligation. It's about understanding that love can be expressed in subtle ways, sometimes through a text, a phone call, or a quiet moment of acknowledgement from afar. This concept became all too clear to me when I heard about Paul, a 64-year-old man who had just retired after decades of hard work. His story struck a chord with me because I could see myself in him. Like many of us, Paul had built his life around work. His identity had been wrapped up in his career, his accomplishments, and his status. But once he retired, he found himself at a crossroads, unsure of what to do with all the time on his hands. The busy, fast-paced life he had lived no longer existed. He had never really prepared for the quiet of retirement. For the first time, he felt adrift, unsure of how to fill his days or even what his purpose was now that he didn't have the demands of his job to keep him occupied. Paul had always prided himself on his family connections. He believed that retirement would be the perfect time to reconnect with old friends and family. He wanted to feel the warmth of companionship again, to re-establish those bonds that had been put on hold during his years of work. And so, one afternoon, with a box of homemade cookies in hand, he decided to visit an old friend, Richard. Richard, who had retired a few years before Paul, was someone he had known for many years. They had shared countless memories and had been close during the time they worked together in the same industry. Paul thought that a visit would not only bring a little cheer to Richard, but also give him the chance to rekindle an old friendship. It felt like the right thing to do. No agenda, no expectations, just two old friends catching up after years of silence. But when Paul arrived at Richard's house, he was taken aback by what he sensed. Richard and his wife, Mary, greeted him with politeness, but there was something about their expressions that unsettled him. Instead of the warm embrace he had imagined, there was a slight tension in the air. Paul tried to ease the discomfort by offering them the cookies, but Richard, with a chuckle that didn't quite reach his eyes, remarked that their lives had become quieter since retiring, almost as if they were apologizing for their new, more subdued lifestyle. Richard joked that they no longer had any power or influence to offer, a remark that Paul tried to laugh off. But despite his attempts to reassure them that he wasn't there to ask for anything, that he just wanted to visit, something in the air felt wrong. The unease didn't fade, it only seemed to grow stronger. The conversation that followed was a strange mix of awkwardness and forced cheer. Paul, feeling the uncomfortable shift in energy, tried to engage in small talk, but it felt hollow. There was no spark of connection, no warmth of the familiar bond they once shared. The tea they shared felt lukewarm, and the silence between words grew heavier with every passing minute. Paul began to realize that his visit, one he had intended as a simple gesture of love, was now causing more harm than good. He could see it in Richard's eyes, and hear it in Mary's polite but distant responses. What was supposed to be a moment of reconnection had turned into an obligation, a chore for everyone involved. Mary eventually saw Paul out, her smile strained and her goodbye polite but hurried. As Paul walked away from their home, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had overstayed his welcome. The exchange, which had once promised warmth, had left him feeling drained and embarrassed. Reflecting on the experience later, Paul realized that his good intentions had inadvertently pushed the boundaries of their relationship. In his eagerness to reconnect, he hadn't recognized the importance of giving Richard and Mary their space. They were in a different stage of life now, one where they had cultivated a peaceful, quiet routine, and his sudden appearance had disrupted that balance. This experience taught Paul a valuable lesson. It was not about how often he visited or how much he tried to give, but about respecting the needs of others. Family isn't just about proximity. It's about understanding when to give people space and when to allow them to live their lives without the pressure of constantly being in each other's presence. Sometimes, showing love means stepping back, being okay with silence, and trusting that the bond will remain strong even without constant reinforcement. True love doesn't require endless visits. It's about knowing when to stay, and when to go, allowing relationships to flourish naturally, not out of duty, but because they are built on mutual respect and understanding. In the end, Paul's visit wasn't a failure, but rather a turning point in his understanding of how relationships evolve. Love doesn't always look the same as it did when we were younger, and sometimes the greatest act of love is knowing when to let go. As we grow older, it becomes more important to cultivate our own space, to give those we love the freedom to live their lives without feeling like they must constantly entertain or accommodate us. It's a lesson in the quiet power of respect, of understanding the natural rhythm of relationships, and of trusting that love will endure even in the spaces between visits. 3. Avoid visiting siblings' houses. There's a certain sense of comfort that comes with the thought of family, especially siblings. From a young age, we're taught that family is forever and that those bonds are unbreakable. The memories you create together, the shared experiences, the inside jokes, and the understanding that comes from growing up in the same household seem like they should tie you together for life. It's the kind of relationship that's supposed to last through thick and thin, a constant source of support and love. Yet, as time passes, the inevitable changes of life creep in, and those once unbreakable bonds can begin to feel fragile, even in the most loving families. It's a truth we often resist, that the way things used to be, those family gatherings, those moments of closeness, may not always remain. And in the end, sometimes it's better to step back and recognize when the time has come to respect each other's space. Take, for example, the Martin family. A group of 5 siblings, each well over 50 years old now, and each carrying the weight of decades of shared memories. Growing up, they were the epitome of family closeness. Their parents' house was the central hub, a place where holidays were celebrated with warmth, where the table was always filled with laughter and good food, and where every Sunday seemed to bring everyone together. The Martins lived in a way that so many of us would envy: tight-knit, supportive, and full of joy. They knew each other's hearts, their hopes, and their fears. There was something so beautiful about the simplicity of it all. The security of knowing that no matter what happened in the outside world, you always had a family to come home to. And in that home, they created memories that seemed as though they could never fade. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. But as we all know, life changes. It's inevitable. As the years passed and their parents grew older, something started to shift in the dynamics of the family. And then, after the inevitable loss of their parents, the center that had once held them all together was gone. The house that had been the family gathering place, the home where everyone found comfort, was no longer a sanctuary for their reunions. The Martins, as they each ventured into their own lives, began to feel the subtle yet powerful pull of distance. Each of them had their own family to care for, their responsibilities, their own lives to manage. It was no longer as easy to come together. The frequency of their family gatherings began to dwindle, and what was once a constant presence in their lives became an occasional event. The once lively and bustling family dinners slowly became fewer and further between. The change was so gradual that it was hard to pinpoint exactly when it started. At first, there was just a missed gathering here and there, a reason that seemed legitimate: work, health issues, family events of their own. But then, before they knew it, the visits and calls that had once been so regular became distant memories. The connection that had once been so automatic began to feel like a distant echo of something that no longer existed. One day, a close family friend, someone who had been a part of the Martins' lives for many years, asked Greg, the eldest sibling, why the family no longer gathered as often. Greg, the one who had always taken charge during the family get-togethers, who had always been the glue holding it all together, responded with a cold, almost indifferent tone: "We only gathered because our parents were there. Now, it doesn't make sense to get together. If I have time, I'd rather spend it with my own family." At first, that response may seem harsh, even shocking. It might sting, and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about family bonds. But as painful as it is to admit, there's a raw truth in Greg's words. It's a truth that many families face as they grow older. The glue that once held everyone together, usually the parents, is no longer there. The things that once made the family feel like an unshakable unit, those family traditions, the spontaneous gatherings, the shared moments of joy, begin to fade, and that connection is slowly replaced by the complexity of adult life. As we grow older, our lives become increasingly filled with responsibilities and demands that leave little room for the kind of closeness we once shared. And as painful as it is to accept, priorities shift. Children grow up, families evolve, and people change. The things that once seemed so simple, gathering together for a meal, spending time with siblings, keeping in touch regularly, become harder to maintain. The truth is, we all change. Our lives, our interests, our goals, and even the way we relate to one another shift. It's easy to assume that just because you've always been close to your siblings, that closeness will remain as you grow older. But the reality is, nothing in life is static. People grow apart, and relationships evolve. This is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a part of the process of life. As adults, we each carve out our own spaces in the world, and sometimes those spaces are no longer as connected as they once were. The family dynamic that once felt natural now requires more effort, more understanding, and more respect for each other's boundaries. This is where the idea of visiting your siblings without a specific reason, without an invitation, can sometimes lead to discomfort. It's not because there's no love or respect between the siblings. It's just that life, with all its changes, has made it difficult to maintain the same rhythm. And that's okay. The truth is that not everyone is in the same place, and sometimes showing up unannounced or without a clear reason can add pressure to an already delicate situation. There may be unspoken feelings of resentment or burden, especially if one sibling feels that they are always expected to host or entertain. These feelings, though often hidden, can slowly chip away at the relationship. And this is where we must learn to let go. Not in a way that means giving up on the relationship, but in a way that acknowledges the space we all need to grow. It's crucial to recognize when it's time to step back and allow each other the freedom to thrive in our own lives. The love between siblings does not diminish when visits become less frequent. It simply shifts. The bond that once was woven in shared moments becomes something deeper and more understanding. It's a more mature love, one that respects the autonomy and the space of each individual, yet still honors the connection that was built over a lifetime. We must learn that the most important thing in any relationship, particularly with family, is not the frequency of visits, but the quality of connection. And sometimes that means giving each other room to breathe, room to grow, and room to flourish independently. We must let go of the idea that love is proven through constant interaction and accept that, sometimes, the best way to show love is through respect and understanding of one another's journey. So, while the visits may become fewer, the love doesn't have to fade, it simply takes on a new form. And that form, though different, can still be just as powerful and meaningful. 4. Avoid visiting the homes of overly tidy people. Visiting someone's home is more than just an ordinary social interaction. It's an act of understanding, an unspoken gesture of respect toward someone's personal space. When you walk into someone's home, you're not just entering a physical space. You're stepping into the heart of their life, their history, their personality. As we grow older, we become more sensitive to our surroundings and more aware of the energy and tranquility that comes from living in an environment that we've carefully curated to fit our needs. The older we get, the more we begin to see our homes as sacred spaces, almost like extensions of our being. The peace, order, and cleanliness of these spaces are not just preferences. They become essential to our sense of well-being. It is no surprise, then, that as we age, we become increasingly protective of our homes, the places where we can retreat from the chaos of the outside world. Ryan is one of those people who takes great pride in his home. He is meticulous, perhaps even to a fault, about how his space is maintained. For him, a clean, orderly home isn't just about aesthetics. It's about creating an atmosphere that feels harmonious and calm. Every item has its place, and every surface is free from dust. When you enter his home, it feels like you've stepped into a well-maintained museum. No, not in an impersonal way, but in the sense that everything is intentional, everything is part of a larger picture. It's a reflection of his personality, his need for control, and his way of ensuring that the world he lives in is orderly, predictable, and serene. It's his way of crafting a sanctuary for himself. This dedication to cleanliness and order might seem like an obsession to some, but to Ryan, it is much deeper than that. It's not just about having a tidy space, it's about feeling a sense of mastery over his environment, something that is incredibly important to him, especially as he gets older. Ryan is a man who has lived through his share of challenges, and his home has always been a place of refuge. It has been his retreat, the place where he can recharge, where he feels in control of his world, even if only for a moment. So when his home is disturbed, it's not just the physical mess that bothers him, it's the emotional disturbance that comes with it. The peace that he has worked so hard to cultivate feels shattered, and that emotional disruption is what truly causes him distress. One day, Amanda, Ryan's cousin, stopped by his house unannounced. Amanda had always been more spontaneous, and less focused on the idea of order. Her visit, while well-meaning, wasn't planned. She needed to borrow some money, and she thought she could catch Ryan at home for a quick favor. While Ryan has always been generous and happy to help his family, this time, things would be different. When Amanda arrived, she was in a hurry and didn't take much care. She was a bit flustered, perhaps a little too comfortable in Ryan's home. She headed straight to the bathroom, and in her haste, accidentally knocked over a bottle of lotion. A small spill, barely noticeable to most, but to Ryan, it felt like a rupture in the very fabric of his sanctuary. At first, Ryan brushed it off, but as the incident lingered in his mind, he began to feel that familiar sense of irritation creep in. It wasn't just about the spill, though. It was about how it symbolized a lack of understanding or respect for the care and attention he had given to his home. In that one moment, it felt as if Amanda had disregarded the boundaries of his personal space. To Ryan, his home wasn't just a place to live, it was a manifestation of his inner peace, a reflection of the energy he invested in making his world feel safe and balanced. The mess wasn't just a physical nuisance, it represented a disruption of the calm that he had worked hard to create. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In the end, Ryan made the difficult decision not to lend Amanda the money she needed. While this choice might seem cold or heartless to those who don't understand the emotional weight of the situation, it made perfect sense to Ryan. It wasn't about the money. It was about something far deeper. It was about respecting his boundaries and his need for order in his environment. Ryan later explained that, while he would never deny helping a family member, he couldn't overlook the lack of respect for his home. For him, a simple gesture of kindness, like lending money, was not enough to outweigh the emotional significance of his space. His home was a sanctuary, a place that should be treated with care and respect, not disturbed by thoughtless actions. Ryan's response might seem extreme to some, even petty. After all, the mess was so minor, and it was only a bathroom spill. But that's exactly the point. Sometimes, it's not about the incident itself, but the emotional significance attached to it. Ryan's reaction highlights a truth that many people, whether they admit it or not, hold dear. Our homes are not just places where we live. They are extensions of who we are. They represent our boundaries, and our efforts to find balance and peace in the world. When someone walks into our home without regard for our efforts, it feels like an invasion, not just of our space, but of our sense of self. Ryan's experience is a lesson in the importance of respecting others' homes. It's a reminder that a visit, no matter how well-meaning, can still be an intrusion if we don't consider the impact we may have on the other person's emotional landscape. For those of us who cherish order and cleanliness, it's not just about having a neat house. It's about preserving a sense of peace, a personal space that feels like ours, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. And when we're older, that peace becomes even more precious. It's not just a preference, it's a need. When we visit someone's home, we must remember that we're entering their world, their sanctuary. And with that, we must carry the humility to honor their boundaries, understanding that even a small disruption can have a far greater impact than we realize. It's easy to dismiss Ryan's actions as overly particular, but it's an emotional reality that many people, particularly those who value order and cleanliness, live with every day. So the next time you visit someone, especially someone who takes great pride in their living space, be mindful. It's not just about respecting their things. It's about respecting the very essence of who they are and the emotional world they've built around themselves. A little consideration goes a long way, and in return, you may find that your gesture of respect creates a lasting bond between you and the other person, one that goes far beyond any material favor. As we wrap up today's discussion, I hope this story has helped you reflect on the importance of respecting other spaces and the deeper meaning behind maintaining order in our homes. We all live our lives differently, but one thing we share is the need for peace and comfort in the places we call home. Whether you value cleanliness or simply appreciate a quiet retreat, understanding the emotional significance of someone's home is key to building stronger, more respectful relationships. Now, let's hear from you. What have you learned from today's video? Is there something you'll start doing differently when visiting someone's home, or maybe even how you approach your own space? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share one thing you've learned and will bring into practice in your life by commenting below this video. If you like this video, please leave a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to continue sharing more insights with you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.